Copy 724, right. Center maintain 2000.
Center maintain 2074.
Comment 504 to center maintain 3000.
3000, comment 504.
In this video, we're going to be covering a few more questions related to the aircraft, certificates, and documents. At the end of this video, we would be able to finish this section where we're talking about the airworthiness and all the document requirements. First thing is we wanted to talk about what are the different different responsibilities of an aircraft owner. So last we finished on that one, like the owner responsibilities, right? So the first one is that, how can I make it a little bit smaller? Let's try this one. So the first one is that he is responsible to keep the to have the airworthiness certificate, right? Sorry about that. Airworthiness certificate. He need to have the current airworthiness certificate and the aircraft registration plus the aircraft registration. Okay, again he needs to have the certificate and he is responsible for keeping it in an airworthy condition. So one is having the certificate from FAA, and the other one is that you need to have all the maintenance and everything in order to keep the aircraft in an airworthy condition. Then you also need to have like the records of all the maintenance you did in order to keep it airworthy. You need to have the records of all the maintenance. You can say that you are gonna have the knowledge about the like the knowledge about like if there is anything due or if there is any call on the aircraft, you need to have that. You also need to notify the FAA Civil Aviation Registry, like if your mailing address is changed or something happened to your citizenship, like you need to notify that. And the last thing is if the aircraft is going to operate outside of United States, you need to have like the FCC radio station license. And also the license, and also it's called the ELT, the emergency locator transmitter. So you need to have that specifically if you are if the plane is operated outside of United States. Okay. So again, what is an airworthiness directive called the AD? What is it? The airworthiness directive. So it's basically a medium by which the FAA notifies aircraft owners and other potentially interested persons like of any unsafe conditions that may exist. It could be because of the design defects or maintenance and other causes. So these are the ADs. These are the ADs. Yeah, that's a very common one, and owners and maintainers, they definitely need to have a knowledge about the airworthiness directive if any of that has been issued by FAA. Okay, so there are actually types of these ADs. One type, or let's just make it A. The first, basically two categories. One is called the emergency nature, and the other one is the less urgent nature. Require like basically you can do it within a specific, let's say, specific time period. So he may ask you, what is an emergency AD? Okay, so as the name suggests, this airworthiness directive is going to be issued basically when an unsafe condition exists, and like you need to work on it immediately. Action must be taken right away, right? Okay. Then now we also want to cover like what is a type certificate data sheet. A type certificate data sheet. Okay, so basically it is issued by the FAA, and like basically when a new aircraft or engine or a propeller uh, is found to meet the safety standards, right? So basically it lists the specifications, conditions, and limitations under which the airworthiness requirements were met for the specified product. And again, it doesn't have to be just the whole aeroplane. Like it could be for the engine, it could be for the fuel type, like the it could have like the engine limits and that kind of stuff. So that's called the like the type certificate data sheet. And then there is another kind which is called the supplemental type certificate. Supplemental type certificate. Okay, what is a supplemental type, or it's also called the STC? It is basically FAA's approved of a major change in the type design of a previously approved type certificate product. So you have a type certificate product, right? But then they may issue a supplemental type certificate. Basically it's gonna say that okay, now we issued a type certificate before, but now we want to add some changes and we also approve that one. So basically a major change, it needs to be a major change of the same type certificate which was already issued by FAA. So basically it actually approves that okay, you can do this kind of alteration on this plan. So that would cover in the supplemental type uh, uh, supplemental type certificate. Okay, now we want to talk about it's called the aircraft registration certificate. We did in our first point of the what owner needs to have, we did say that airworthiness certificate and the aircraft registration certificate. So before the answer is what is it, it is a document from the FAA, basically of the registration of the aircraft. It did does like who issues it, it's the FAA aircraft registry, and you need to have to legally fly the airplane. Okay, does it expire? Expire or not expire? So yes, it does expire, and a certificate of like or registration certificate of an aircraft, it expires 3 years within the last day of the month in which it was issued. So in uh, so if it was issued in, let's say, uh, January 14th, so it's gonna expire after 3 years at the last day. So they will consider that okay, if you, what did I say, January 13th or 14th of Jan. So they would say that okay, it actually we're gonna start counting on January 31st. So last day of the month, and starting from there you have 3 years for this one. Okay. We also wanted to cover where can you find the information on the play cards and marking information required to be in the airplane. So where can you find information on the play cards or like the marking information, right? So the answer is that the principal source of information, right? The I'll call it information. The principal source of the information for basically identifying the required airplane, flight manuals and approved manual material, marking and play cards, all those kind of things, is basically the FAA type certificate data sheet, right? Uh, which we did cover with the supplemental type certificate and the certificate data sheet. Or it can be in the aircraft specification issued by the each plane eligible for the airworthiness certificate. So basically, the FAA type certificate is gonna have all those information related to the flight manuals, like the approved manual material, marking, play cards, all those things. The last thing we wanted to cover is like what are the several type of the play cards and markings required in the airplane. So in the play cards, right, we can have a day plane or a night plane or a VFR or an IFR play card. Flight maneuvers permitted play card, we have those kind of play cards, okay, that the flight maneuvers can be are permitted in this. Caution control lock remove before starting, you can find this play card saying that the caution that the control lock remove before starting. You can have a maneuvering speed play card. You can have a compass calibration card. Uh, and in the markings, the other one is the markings, right? Inside the marking, you can have the airspeed indicator markings, cockpit control markings, fuel, oil, and coolant filler openings. These are the kind of marking you can find in find in an airplane. Thanks for watching.